25 years. From execution of water supply scheme, construction of building works, industrial buildings. He also worked as assistant engineer in Karnataka government in irrigation department. In 2007, he took voluntary retirement and started JMS company, which involves in various consultancy works such as structural design of building, water supply works, drainage system, road work, bridges and culverts. He also done third party inspection for government undertaking works of 100 crore package, canal lining works for TLBC, etc. Now I request Nandi sir to proceed further for this today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for inviting me. Can I start the presentations?
Yes, sir.
Can you see, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'll be speaking on the role of testing in consultancy. I represent Jalvaini Management Services Private Limited. This is a consultancy organization stationed in Karnataka. I'll just give a brief introduction of. Is it audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are stationed in Karnataka, and we have office in Dharwad, Bangalore, and Mysore. We are practically covering almost all sectors in civil engineering. A full list is there, right from roads, buildings, water supply, UGD, irrigation, and we have been almost 17 years old since commencement of our organization. This is the number of works broadly which we have done so far. Now, over a period of 17 years, we have done nearly more than 2,800 projects. We generally handle around 8,000 crores of projects on hand. It generally extends for about 2 years. Area of operation is predominantly Karnataka, and we work 95% for government sector only. Now, this is small organogram of our organization. Now, coming back to the role of testing in consultancy. Now, testing is an integral part of execution of the work. Testing is not anything separate from the work itself. Now, this has to be complied with a good quality assurance program. And quality assurance program can be ensured through good quality controls. And good quality controls are done with a proper conducting of tests. So the flow basically consists of a work followed by a good quality assurance program, conducting quality control test through proper appropriate test in the field. Now, test, as I said earlier, ensures quality control, quality assurance in the execution. Now, this is a comprehensive requirement of any client, and only through this quality assurance program, we are able to give a proper satisfaction to the client that we are performing as per his requirements and as per the standards of the industry. So, what are the types of tests that are conducted? It could be some pre-construction test. So before you really commence the construction itself, there is a good amount of testing that has to be done. Then during the course of construction, you do a lot of testing. Then after post-construction, some of the tests are conducted. Now, what are the pre-construction tests? If you are talking of building materials, again you test aggregates, cement, steel. And if you are talking of road materials, again it's aggregates, bitumen, steel, cement, and soil also. Or if you're talking of water and sewage test, water and effluent quality test you conduct. And if you're anything related to soil test for buildings and roads, then you conduct SVC, soil parameters, CPR, and in situ density test as per your requirement. Now, during construction, you have to ensure a proper process control. The process control is whether whatever you have planned is happening on the ground or not. And you have to measure those requirements. Again, it's done through the test. Like in building, we control the water cement ratio with the proper measurement of the slum. And particularly in the roads, you have to do a lot of tests compared to your own buildings also. You have to check the compacted density of the subgrade, GSP, WMM, then the bitumen content that you're laying on the roads, then the bitumen mixed temperature while laying. So compared to buildings, the roads on-field tests are much more. So what you're doing here is trying to control the process of execution. Post-constructions is confirming what all you have done, whether it's as per your requirements, whether you have met those requirements or not. Like in case of buildings, you have a cube strength, which you generally test after 28 days and see whether it is meeting your requirement of strength. Then the layers of bitumen layers which you lay for the roads, again that is tested to see, ensure that whether you have got the required amount of density that was expected, you have got it or not. Then post-construction, you also do NDT, non-destructive tests, through either rebound hammer or ultrasonic test or core extraction, various other testing that which is generally done on site, particularly post-construction. Now we're discussing about the testing component. Now, if you come back to consultancy, because we're talking of role of testing in consultancy, let's take a look at what are the components of consultancy, so that we'll be able to relate both consultancy and testing together. Now, consultancy, we provide various services, like it could be survey, geotechnical investigation, topographical survey, designs and estimation, detailed project report, site supervision of works. There are various types of consultancy that individual might provide, depending upon his or the client's requirement. Now, these are again the same type of services you can provide for buildings, roads, water supply, irrigation engineering, waste management, and many other fields also. Now, what are the types of consultancy you generally provide? Now, you provide project management consultancy, then you have a third-party inspections, then you have a detailed project reports, you have pre-bid assessment, you have structural safety evaluation, many more. I just made a sample of about. Now, let's see how testing is integrated with all these type of assignments. Coming back to project management consultancy, generally project management consultancy might include both your DPA arch and supervision. Sometimes it is only supervision there, but in any case, supervision will be almost necessary. So even when you do a supervision for a project, so whatever the test the contractor does, that has to be overseen by the PMC. In addition to that, the PMC is expected to do an independent test. Generally, it's about 10% of the tests are done independently by the consultants to confirm whatever the test that the contractor is doing is in confirmation to whatever the results that he is giving out. So the PMC will have to have a expertise in testing. Otherwise, he will not be able to analyze or understand what the contractor is doing there. So generally, PMC, most of them have an in-house laboratory. Otherwise, they will have to outsource it to an independent laboratory to confirm the results. Now, the second type which you see is third-party inspections. Is it audible? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, the third-party inspection is predominantly either a continuous visit or an intermediate visits, where you review the tests that have been conducted by the whoever is the contractor. In addition, you also conduct tests again to ensure that whatever the results that are being presented to you are correct or not. Again, here also you need both expertise either in-house or you have to outsource your capacity in terms of independent laboratory. Now, coming to the third type, the detailed project report. This refers to various estimations, designs you undertake before the commencement of the project itself. There. So geotechnical investigation is a fundamental necessity where you generally carry out, depending upon your requirement, a SVC or CBR, SVC for the buildings generally, CBR for the roads, then soil strata either for the buildings or for the roads also. And in case of irrigation project, a lot of soil properties are requirement for stability, and you need good amount of assessment of the in situ permeability of the irrigation tanks. Topographical survey is a part of it. Then another typical fourth component is the pre-bid assessment. Pre-bid assessment is a slightly tricky aspect where, based on your experience, you have to do a lot of things because you will neither have the time to conduct all those tests, nor you will have the resources. Whoever is the contractor who is likely to employ you, he may not be ready to spend so much of time for your detailed investigation. So you have to conduct a limited testing, and based on your experience either of that domain or that area, then give out your opinion and assessment to the contractor so that he can put a tender with a proper assessment of the cost. So here, if you don't have a knowledge of testing, then it will be a big negative for the contractor who is likely to take your advice. Then structural safety. Structural safety is now almost a regular feature in most of the industrial buildings. Now there you have to do NDT testing, and NDT testing covers many other things like remote hammer, ultrasonic test, core test and all. But here it also requires test plus also a good sense of re-analyzing what is the balance life speed that is there in the building. Now, if testing is absent, as long as there are no failures, it's very fine. But once the failures are there, then we have a very, very big consequences. So without test, it will be almost impossible to assess the reasons of failure. And in case there are failures, engineers could be held responsible for the negligence. Now, I'll just give a sample agreements which we have been doing just to indicate how quality control is an integral part of the any component. Either you talk of DPR, detailed project reports, or supervision, or third party. Quality control and testing is a very, very critical part of it. And without that, many times you could be disqualified. Now, this is just sample of a third party auditing. You can see you need to do a lot of testing as a part of those assignments, which are integral to the assignment. So if at all you have expertise in testing, then you will be eligible to take up these works. Just not being eligible, now once you do your third party test, you will be practically held responsible even if there is a mistake by the contractor. So whenever you take up any of these assignments, without a proper expertise in testing, blindly doing the test also may not serve the purpose. And preferably you should have in-house, because when someone else does your testing, his interpretation of the results could be slightly different from what you are saying. You are the person who is on the field, you'll be able to relate it better there. So your own expertise in testing and in-house expertise is much better. And quality audit is almost audit reports are almost integral part of any of the assignments. At the end of the assignments, you are supposed to give a quality audit report, just like any audit report which you see in the financial matters. Now this is one more project where we are doing a comprehensive management. Like there we do the designs and also do the supervision. So here we're totally responsible, right from the survey, geotechnical investigation, then estimation, tendering, then execution and supervision. So you're responsible for the designs, you're responsible for the cost, you're responsible for the quality of execution. So this is very, very comprehensive activity that takes place in project management consultancy. There again, as I said, testing is inbuilt into all these components. Now, detailed project report, like this present one which is on your screen, is the State Highway Development Project. It's an elaborate testing which has to be done with good number of locations to assess the CBR and the soil properties. And subsequently, in fact, the number of tests that we do in road is much higher than any other building components. So soil investigations and all are must. You can just see most of these screens, see either the geotechnical or the quality control are inbuilt into it. That just give an idea how they are integratedly involved in all components. Again, this is a third-party inspection for a canal. Here also you see that you are responsible for inspecting, conducting QC tests, everything during the execution. The requirement of quality control engineers, if you see in any of these projects, is quite high. Something like any of these projects which cost around 150 crores, will have nearly about 40 to 50 engineers specifically for the quality control itself. Now this is the road implementation supervision. Here again we have to conduct additional tests in addition to whatever the contractor is doing. The requirement of quality control engineers, just I highlighted. Now I'll just give a small examples of where the testings have created challenges for during the implementation. Just a case of some project here in, I am referring to all these projects in Karnataka only. There. So a case in some Karnataka Housing Board, the contractor was not using M sand, but the sand appeared very, very similar to M sand. But somehow we are sure that because M sand was not available nearby, but to our bad luck, you are getting a good strength after checking. But later on, we again checked the various other components. It was quite flaky. Then we came to know that it was not M sand, it was a crusher powder. So due to that, the crushing strength of the aggregate we're not able to achieve. Only because we had the experience and expertise to identify both, we were able to identify and then get it changed. Then a similar case of, in case of road, there is a Bidar, you must have heard, in the border of Maharashtra. There is an Aurad-Bidar road. The road had some problems right from beginning. And initially we went, took a look at whatever the soil properties that were available. And we also found that soil was very good. And we had almost started the work. Then somewhere we felt that something is not having problem because it was repeatedly having failures. Then we checked the soil. If you see with the bare eye, it was practically a hard rock. But when we did the test on that, it was totally getting dissolved in water. And later on, we found that it is a special type of soil, which is similar to black cotton soil. Initially, although the department did not agree to us, when we presented to them the results, they agreed. And the contract also, although he had spent good amount of money on that, later on he agreed to redo whole many things. And Now it is in a better shape. Now, case of SBC, here I am from Dharwad. Here we have what is known as schists. Schists are very hard clay under dry conditions. They're very, very hard as soft rock. But if they get into touch with water, they become a clay. So there was always a difference of opinion. Like whenever we give a SVC of about 8 to 10 for this, we used to have an argument. Sir, it's so hard. You are giving SVC of hardly 8 to 10. So then we try to educate the people. So we ourselves then made an analysis. So whenever there was a possibility that this, then we try to maintain a lower SVC. And if it is on the part of a higher side, where they're not likely to come in contact with the water, or where the conditions are dry, then we went in for a higher SVC. Now that is because of our experiences and prior problems, we could modify that. Now CBR for roads also, actually the CBR pattern for low rainfall area and high rainfall area is different there. Like here, some of the Bijapur and other areas and many parts of Maharashtra, where the rainfall is less than 5 to 600, you can go for a higher CBR. Only if it is a high rainfall area, then you have to go for a fully 4 days soak test. And some typical case happened in one of this biscuit factory. We are actually dismantling a RCC column and erecting a steel girder and a steel column to support the RCC. So we could not have had even a of settlement. But to our bad luck, what happened is as soon as we cast the footing, after 2-3 days, we found that it was not all setting there. Then we are not able to understand why it's not getting hardened. After a lot of analysis, then we learned that the biscuit factory was an ongoing factory. There used to be a small dust of sugar which is to be unloaded at the place where we are storing our aggregates. Then later, when we analyzed and then we learned that it's even a small component of sugar powder is a very good retarder. So that was the main reason why we were not able to get a good strength. So after assessing that component, then we took care and then we could overcome that problem. Now, again, here around about Dharwad, you have some village, some talukas where the BC soil is highly prevalent. When you talk of BC soil, generally we just talk of low SVC there. But many times we forget assessing high swelling pressure. What happens is, if the swelling pressure is high, there many times the footing itself is lifted there. This is problem which we faced in one of the building where we were asked to come and analyze the problem. Then we came to know that although they had taken a precaution regarding low SVC, but the swelling pressure was so high that it was practically lifting the footing itself. So this component of swelling pressure in BC soil also has to be kept in mind. Under my own personal experience is I was in charge of Narayanpur Dam, the Upper Krishna project. One of the gates failed in 1992. The gate was something like 15 meter by 15 meters there, and it failed. It failed only after all assessment we could understand due to improper welding in only one joint. It is a bulkhead, only one joint. It is a very silly mistake there. So if you see any of these small incursions that happen in many of the fields, if you have a knowledge, if you have an expertise, you'll be able to identify and overcome those problems. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to understand why the failures happened itself. So testing is an integral part of consultancy. There is no doubt about it. So unless you have a very good idea about the test and how they are done and the procedures that are to be done, then you will not be able to appreciate any failures in that pattern. That is a brief presentation which I made it across. If you have any questions, you can go ahead.
Dear participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask directly by unmute yourself.
Uh,
Uh, I can, we are not very good lecturers like you all professors, but if you have any field problems, you can discuss with me. I'll be able to explain that better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anybody have any doubt, you can ask directly related to any testing related. So, sir can answer your question.
Sir, we would like to share some more experiences from you regarding testing and some problems you highlighted. If you could throw light on some of the problems which you encountered in testing and consultancy.
No, testing is a regular process, but what happens is when you identify a failure, regular tests are very different. But when the failure happens, to identify why it happened is a critical problem. So that I had highlighted where some few problems which we have, they were critical, which we were not able to assess initially. Later on, we identified that these were the problems. There. Beyond this, others are regular tests, nothing very specific about those components.
You mentioned about the one of the welding failed. So
Yeah.
some sort of knowledge is required to test the welding also. If this expertise is developed in the labs, then again that lab would be cut above other labs. So something more which you think a lab can have so that they can excel in their job. For example, the solar panels. The solar panels testing is at very few labs. If that expertise could be developed, so what I'm requesting you is if you could highlight some of the consultancy testing works which it comes to the lab, then will be something different. That's what I want to ask.
Now, if you want to relate the testings to consultancy or the scope of that, one common consultancy, one common scope is your SBC for buildings. Okay, Pune, you have a lot of multi-story buildings where you really get a very professional services. But beyond Pune, if you go to any other areas there, most of the labs themselves are not available. But now it is almost civil, all municipalities are making it mandatory to conduct SPC of the test for the buildings. So this is one small initiation that you can take, conducting some safe carrying capacity for the building. That has got a more scope in even smaller cities. Regarding solar, I think we don't have any experience in solar either. And regarding this welding component which you asked either, most of the welding is field welds, like where you test for a X-ray test or a dye penetration test either. So if it is a pipeline project, again, most of the things have to be done on the site. They're all industry related. And we as such are dealing much with the government. We don't deal much with the industry. Maybe referring to your industry, I may not be able to give much idea about it.
Okay. The other thing what you mentioned was regarding the more of a testing opportunities are there on the road side, road infrastructure.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so if you could highlight on those points, sir, because we are on what we know is only concrete and steel. So something beyond that you spoke regarding roads and all. So something on that.
Now, roads we should understand compared to building we have a very fairly controlled procedures. The aggregate is from the pressure, cement is very well tested, cement is a tested material there. So, on the contrary, in the roads, biggest problem is the quantity which you require in the road is huge, and there you use a lot of local materials. Yes.
Okay.
You use
Yes.
local materials. So local materials is particularly the soil has got a lot of variation along the length, and assessing the quality of soil on the site is very important there. So if you take up any of the road projects, maybe institute test for the soil density of the various layers is very, very important. Is it? So road, but I think to develop expertise in road, you need a consistency compared to your building.
Okay.
It cannot be done. I mean, immediately compared to your buildings. Because most of the contractors would like to either as a consultant or a contractor, they need a long-term expertise to have a proper control on this side. Because if they don't have a proper control, they are certainly going to get into a lot of losses due to loss of not using the proper materials.
Okay.
Hello.
Hmm.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, sir.
This is Vinod Vanwari from Mumbai, from Bagubai Mafatlal Polytechnic. Sir,
Yes, sir.
different agencies, I have a very small pertinent question, but it's a little related to cost. Different agencies are costing differently. So in that proportion, the client is not that educated. So client gets drifted away. Now, take an example of cube testing, 3 cubes. Some parties are charging only 250 rupees, while the institute is charging 1000 rupee or something. So can we have some regulatory body who, streamlines these charges? So that will be call of the day. I mean, this is my humble submission.
I agree with you. We don't have a singular body to regulate the cost.
Yes.
But I think we should, first of all, agree that all of us are technical people.
Yes.
Unlike other businesses where a lot of non-technical people come into pictures, there, most of the people who are involved here is the technical people.
Correct.
Understand one thing: if you are uneconomical, it is only question of time the people will not come back to you.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, out of context, I will say,
Yeah.
people find it very difficult to work in the government sector. But we have been working in the government sector for almost 17 years, I said. And we're fortunate they call us and give us an assignment, which is very difficult and very rare. So, if you are able to put a good reputation, you'll certainly have a business. You are neither the 250 is important nor the 1000 is important. But what is important is your reputation and the quality of service that you will give.
Yeah.
In no way that we can relate the quality of service to your cost. But however, just make out of context. I have my tailor here in Belgaum who generally charges practically the double of all other people. But I am his loyal customer. He has a nice saying: I don't have any complaint with my competitors who charge less. So I think we should not worry about people who charge less.
Okay.
But if we are able to maintain the quality, be assured, sir, people will come back. So, cost of testing is very, very small. It is not even 0.5%. It is the
Yeah.
most basic component, only because we don't pay attention there. Now, even if you talk of whole building itself, this is something which there is a Karnataka State Police Housing Corporation where they do a lot of police housing throughout Karnataka. So they just asked me, how are you going to ensure the quality control of the buildings? So I was telling him, sir, quality control is not so difficult like earlier times. Now, when you talk of, it was respect to buildings. So I said, building, what are you using? You're using aggregate, you're using sand, you're using cement, steel. Now, steel is fairly good. You don't have to question unless it is a secondary steel. Cements are fairly standard. You don't find a very bad cement unless you really want to go and buy a low-cost cement. Now, sand, earlier when I was talking to them, we had a problem of mineral sand and natural sand. But now M sand is available throughout. Then aggregates are mostly crushed. Then what quality control are we talking of? So you have got good aggregate, you have got good sand, you got cement, then you have got good steel. Then why are you talking of quality control? It is the workmanship and the execution process that has to be mentioned there. So more than very rarely you will see loss of strength or not getting a strength in a building in concrete there. But sometimes it does happen. That time you have to be very careful why it has happened. Is there? So I can only reassess more than the quality control is your standards for execution of the work in terms of workmanship is more important. Is there? And through testing, you're only ensuring and giving a confirmation to the client that what you're doing is correct, and this is the confidence that you give to him.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I want to. Good afternoon. I'm Rajesh Kadare from DY Patil School of Engineering. I want to ask one question. Hello.
Tell
Am
me.
I?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
audible.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So you have discussed about the consultancy work, testing work, which is going on in the big projects, big highway projects, etc. I just want to know, since the topic of this whole webinar is NABL, so is there NABL role in that testing procedure regarding quality matters, etc.? Because what I have heard is there are terms of references, especially for the project which are funded by Asian Development Bank or World Bank. Because I was associated in one consultancy work on the railways. So ADB had financed that project. So they had insisted that at least after say 3 or 4 testing, one testing should be got done from the government approved laboratories. For example, COAP or so. So is there anything mentioned in such contracts wherein you are supposed to get your results clarified or confirmed from a laboratory which is NABL accredited?
Yeah, what you said is right there, but not every project doesn't mention that you should go get it done in any of your projects. But some projects, as you said, do mention very specifically. Now, if you get back to why the people are asking, it is something where they feel that you may not be 100% correct,
Yes,
or
yes.
they feel that you may go wrong. Go wrong. Then, so they want a confirmation from this secondary source. And what is NABL? NABL is it's ensuring your procedure which has been approved, and they're doubly sure that you are following that procedure. And the results that you get from NABL laboratory or when you follow the procedure, you are not likely to be doing mistakes. Yeah. So certainly those requirements are there in some of the projects, but not every project. I can say about 10% of the projects make a requirement like that.
Okay, another thing I want to ask is the results which you give actually. So do you do they ask, do the parties ask you to give mention the uncertainty in the result test results? Do they ask for the uncertainty involved?
No. So what uncertainty, most of the cases, in our case, as I said, we're working with the government there. So first thing is we have to ensure to give them 100% certainty. Now, how do we ensure that 100% ensured certainty is through various either the processes that we like the quality assurance program, what we give to them, that is approved by them. Then what are the tests we conduct, and we're supposed to give a quality audit report at the end of it. There, so there is no question of giving any uncertainty in case of most of the government projects. There.
No, no, because in NABL accreditation, uncertainty is the very key factor there. So, uncertainty can be a instrumental uncertainty, it can be a procedural uncertainty. So, it is generally given by the laboratory which is calibrating your instruments or equipments. So, that is why I wanted to know whether they ask, do they ask, and whether we give a basis on the based on the based on the uncertainty level or tolerance given by the calibrating laboratory.
No, that's why I said no. See, ultimately, now government, in our case, depends upon our opinion. Now, after conducting whatever requirement, whether it is NABL or testing and taking uncertainties, I have to give one figure. And I can't tell him I am 99% sure. I have to tell him I am 100% sure. If I tell him I am 99% sure, sir, there is 1% uncertainty, they will ask me to complete that and give me 100% certainty. So most of the government projects dealing with that uncertainty will not come into picture. We have whatever the countermeasures that are necessary there. We have to take up and assure the government that it's 100% safe.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone have a doubt? You can ask.
Jagdish sir, basically, I wanted to just add to what one of the participant had a doubt. What should be the minimum level of charges or some regulatory wording on charges of the cube testing and all. So, what I think, and if you can correct me, since we are so many all testing of concrete or cube or steel is very simple now. And you say that the materials are standardized and all. So the answer lies is giving a consultancy to more complicated things, testing something more complicated. Or for example, one person came to our college and he was asking, is somebody in your college can give us the stability analysis of a structure, a solar structure put at a high-rise building. Now, these are the areas where we all are lacking. So if our engineering colleges and the professors who are very specialist in their jobs, if we work on that or if we develop our lab in that way and make a specialist on that particular specialized opinions, then do you think that will help, sir?
Sir, as far as your college are concerned, like my own experience being in the government sector and then again in the private sector now, there, in the private sector, there is element of risk. Like whether I invest 1 lakh or 50 lakhs or 1 crore, first thing is I'm not so rich enough to keep on spending the amount. So I have to have some viability. But luckily for your college, where you have a ready-made laboratory, you have the resources, what you
Yes,
really need is any interest there. And
correct.
why you need that interest is just not because of yourself there. You see, theoretically, DY Patil, your college develops an expert. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. We can hear you, sir. Bolo.
Yeah, that is easily available. It's not going to cost you much there. So certainly, college, I feel, has got more scope for developing those expertise there. Now, why do you go to IIT? Now, suppose any doubt is there, it is referred to IIT, IIT Mumbai, IISA Bangalore. Is it why do you go there? It is because first and foremost you consider them as an expert. Second thing is resources are available, and third, whatever opinion they give is ultimate. You are not questioning all three components. And very rarely you talk of cost when you go to either IITs or IISc, Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. There. So I always encourage all the institutions to develop that expertise there. And once you start developing, you should have a consultancy cell. It's not a question of making money for the college. It is because you are these professors who are going to provide knowledge to the staff, students. Because if at all you have a personal experience, the way you can convey to the students is much with a much confidence. Right now, what happens is, I'm not saying this one, maybe I can't lecture, but I have experience. But for your case, you're so much engrossed in teaching, many times that experience is not made available. But if the consultancy is an integral part of your college, there, one, you will know how theoretically it's applied to the practical component, and you will modify it depending upon your experience and teach the student, and student also gets exposed to that industry. That is a very, very component because we as our students that time, we felt that we lacked that exposure. So we had to practically reinvent many things during course of our learning. But if you are able, first thing is develop a consultancy. Cost of consultancy services from a college is immaterial. If you ask me, they marginally charge it less, but let the people come to you because they have more confidence when they come to institutions. Then even here also, if at all it is question of taking opinion, all my clients, including the government, I ask them to either go to the college or IITs. Because that way they get a more confidence. Because even if I tell the same thing myself as an individual, it will carry less weight compared to the weight that an institution carries. That is very, very important there. Now, even the IITs, some have developed expertise. IIT Bombay has got expertise in some component. IIC is expertise in soil mechanics. IIT Mumbai, Chennai has got expertise in different components. So, my small advice would be have an active consultancy wing that will give a lot of learning for you, for students, and also serving the society in the process.
Yeah. Point taken, sir. Point taken.
Is there any doubt?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, Kasmal, sir.
I'm Kasai.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Nandi.
Good afternoon.
It was very nice to listen you. It's not the professional talk, but it's a talk with knowledge, and that is more important than what language you speak. I know about you everything. You being a Sainik school student, you are so fluent and you are so confident about English and expressing it. So it was really a very good moment to hear with you and to listen to your experiences. I think the participants will definitely uh, get benefited, and in case if they have any doubts in future.
Sir, all your staff or any student, they can call me directly for any of the related issues. No problem.
Because you don't have only book experience, but the working experience, and which is more important, the different situations you handle and the solutions you taken out were really a point of appreciation, because this knowledge you don't get in any book. This is only an experienced person can share, and one can learn out of it. So thank you very much for sparing your time and joining with us on this occasion. So I once again thanks you.
One point I would like to make is that
Please.
now many times when we are studying in the graduation level,
Yeah.
we think oh, we are studying something happens on the field there. But and when we get to the field, we feel that what we have studied is not practiced in the ground there.
Yes. Yes.
Now my daughter is in second year. I'm seeing her many books. What she is studying, she is doing a civil engineering only. Now I tell her whatever is there in your book, practically same thing is even done now. The designs or the theory which you really teach the students, at least in case of civil, doesn't change much. Maybe in case of IT, it keeps changing. What we studied, same practically, I would say 80% of whatever we studied in degree, not even post-graduation, the same thing applies. So let the students not be under the impression that they are not studying anything relevant to the industry. What they're studying is very fundamental and very relevant to the industry. Only thing is, as I said, they will have not gone and applied on the field. So they feel, oh, field is different, theory is different. But please be assured, theory and your results are not very different. They are same there. Only thing is when you do it on the field, you get more confidence.
Yes.
Just for example, structure design, I don't know, it must be the experience with everyone, including me. Like first time you do a structural design, then you're done a small house or something like that, which is some 3-meter span. Then you're very keen. Did you remove the centering? Because you have somewhere apprehension that it might fall. So then when you find that, oh, it did not fall, it is standing, then you feel, oh yeah, my design was correct. Then when you do 10 buildings of 3-meter span, then you're confident. Then you do a building of 10-meter span, and you're very unconsciously, you're very waiting for the day when they do the decentering. So even that is okay, then you feel more confident. So your confidence comes by your experience. You're not changing the design either. So that is a natural process that will happen.
Yes.
Ashok,
Okay. Yeah.
thank you very much for giving opportunity to speak to you and all your staff. And
Yes.
world is a very small place. Of course, we are classmates.
Yes.
Talking to your Professor Karotpati, I came to know that he was my colleague of my other staff here left in
Very much,
internal career.
Ah.
So it was very nice speaking to all of you. So if you have any questions, you can answer. Otherwise, please go ahead.
Dear participants, if you have any doubt, you can ask your doubts directly by unmute yourself. Dear participants, you can ask your questions by unmute yourself. If anyone has any doubt, you can ask directly.
Any student staff, one more thing, our company, luckily, because I was in the government, we had exposure to irrigation sector, water supply sector, and building sector before I took up a voluntary retirement. So we're able to do our consultancy across all these sectors, which is generally difficult, where either you start doing your consultancy in building or in one of the sectors. But even as a small company, we're able to do the whole spectrum of services because we had a prior experience. So if you have any difficulty related to irrigation, water supply, you can contact me personally also. We'll be able to guide you.
Yeah, sure, sir, sure. So in case nobody has doubt, then thanks a lot, sir, for your very valuable lecture and sharing experiences with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity. Hope to meet you in person sometime. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for attending this session. Thank you so much, Nandi sir. Thank you so much, Kasana sir, to join this session. This session is over. Feedback form is mailed on your email.
Yeah.
On the feedback form till 7 p.m. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Aniket. Bye.
Okay, sir. Have a nice day.
Yeah,